Hi everybody, welcome to video 2 for Thursday, March the 11th. What I'd like to do in this particular video is I'd like to talk to you about the two assignments that you had due for me, the case study assignment and the big interview assignment. Your grades are now posted in Blackboard, and I will be emailing you the rubric that I use to mark the case study assignment. So each individual student will receive their rubric, and in that rubric, it will show the mark that you received, and it will also make comments on areas that I feel that you need to work on for this particular assignment. So with the case study assignment, everybody, if I can just redirect you back to that case study on page 286 in your textbook. This was the chapter that we were dealing with, delivering unfavorable news, and it was dealing with a particular conference that was going to be held in Montreal on artificial intelligence and neural information processing systems. So very tech driven for the conference. And if I can just have you once again perhaps reread the case study. I feel that some of you didn't read through it enough to understand the gist of what was going on with this particular case study, and some of the marks certainly will reflect that. So what has happened is you've organized a conference. You're bringing in a lot of researchers, tech people that are leaders in the AI or neural information processing systems. A lot of them are working on PhDs, so they're very scientifically educational driven for this particular field. They are of African descent. Some of them are African descent. And if you look sort of in the middle of the text there, you will notice that especially as 150 of them are African descent, so you have been working with them to get their visas out and get that application process started soon. So we've got 150 of these speakers are coming to this conference. They're of African descent. They need visas to enter Canada from the various countries that they're coming from. They might be coming from the US, they could be coming from Europe. So they were born in Africa, in one country or another there, and they are now living in the United States or Europe working on their PhD. And we've got a visa issue when these individuals come into Canada, meaning that they need to have a visa in order to enter our country. They just can't come in on a passport. And if you look a little bit further down, you will notice in text it says, you predict that over 50% of your program speakers, so over 50% of the 150 that you have got coming to this conference could be affected by visa denials. Okay, so not all 150 of them, we've got 50% or a little bit more are going to be affected by this. So you, as one of the organizers for the conference, have now got to come up with an alternative method of delivery for these 50% that could be affected by visa denials. Okay, so some of you hit it right on target when you said that, you know, this is an AI, artificial intelligence, neural information processing systems. We could use technology to deliver those that have been affected by visa denials for their presentations at this conference. Okay, so we're not canceling the conference. We're not going to a total online delivery. We just want to have something in place for those that could be denied entry into Canada. And we're going to use teleconferencing, Zoom, whatever you want to call it. We could use that to deliver their speech to the conference. Okay, so it's a couple of weeks out, everybody. We can't in theory cancel the conference, but we've got to come up with something that is going to give them an alternative method to deliver their speech for this particular conference. Okay, so those were some of the really big parts of that case study that I needed you to identify. Okay, so with the rubrics that I have done, and I look through the 30 of you that did it, and I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of what I commented on within your case study were grammatical errors, okay, sentence structure errors. Somewhere along the way, you've had some kind of spelling mistake, something didn't flow right, and that was targeted within your case study. As well, word choice, everybody. Now, we did talk about that in one of the chapters earlier. And a lot of what you're delivering for your message, so your written communication, really word choice plays a huge part in how successful that message is going to be delivered. So by focusing on these visa denials, they're of African descent, all of those sort of things really can come across as being harsh in tone. A couple of you really focused on that African descent to the point where it almost sounded like you were singling them out. There was a problem with them being of African descent. And we know in today's world, we have to be very, very careful of the wording that we choose when we discuss those of other cultures different from our own, because a lot of times, especially now if you've been following the news, a lot of times racial tones can be construed when maybe in fact that wasn't the intent of the message. Okay, so you really do need to be careful with that. The word denied or denial can come across as being very harsh. The words unfortunate, duty can come across as being very harsh. A lot of you blamed the Canadian government, especially immigration, which in all fairness, maybe it wasn't their problem. Maybe these people didn't apply soon enough. There could be some underlying issue with the passport that they are currently holding. Okay, so you really do need to be aware of the word choice that you use, especially in the print form, because we may, you know, it's always going to be around, right? Somebody will always have a copy of that. Layout presentation was another issue. Okay, some of you didn't use the correct wording for the conference title. Okay, some of you did very well on your layout. It was very visually appealing, but the majority of you missed that as well too. So really what I'm trying to hammer out with this, everybody, is the following. Okay, you need to be very, very cautious of the word choice that you use. That tone comes across in your message, right? And you don't want to make this situation worse than it probably already is, right? There's a lot of stress now on these people. They've got to come up with something else for the people that are going to be attending this conference. So you really have to be careful of your word choice. Watch your tone. Some of you were apologizing way too much for this. Okay, so be cautious of that, everybody. Please make sure that you read the case study. Make sure you read anything that I give you. Make sure you understand what it is you need to do. Go through and highlight some of the sections that you need to be aware of. Okay. So that was the case study. And like I said, I'm going to get this emailed to each and every one of you so that you can take a look at the rubric to see where, in fact, you have lost marks. Now, if you are curious about that after you received your rubric and you want to set up a time with me, please let me know and we can schedule that into Blackboard Collaborate and we can go over it with you. But a lot of what I noticed, everybody, was grammatical issues. So please, please make sure that you are cautious of that before you submit anything to me or any other instructor. And the second assignment that I wanted to talk to you about was your big interview assignment, everybody. And your grades are now in there. And I have made a list of comments that I'm going to be adding into the actual big interview itself. So you'll be able to see my comments. But how we were breaking that down, everybody, was that you were, if you completed that fast track certificate, like you were instructed to do, so this here by doing the modules, okay, and the quizzes and answering the questions and doing the videos, that was worth 10 marks. Okay, The actual interview itself was worth 50 marks for a total of 60 marks for this assignment. Where a lot of you lost marks on this was you were given 2 minutes for each question that you were asked, up to 16 questions, 2 minutes each to answer the question. A lot of you need to elaborate on the questions that you are asked. So when I ask you, please tell me about yourself, you need to be able to do that in more than 13 seconds or 11 seconds. When you do these videos, everybody, it shows me the exact time that you have recorded yourself answering that question. So a lot of you need to practice, okay? Practice talking about yourself. Tell me about yourself. What kind of hobbies do you like to do in your spare time? Who do you consider to be a great leader? Okay? Who? I'm asking you who, and I need an individual, a person. Tell me who you consider to be a great leader, not what do you consider to be a great leader, but who. Okay, so those people answered them. You know, there might have been a volleyball captain. A lot of you used people, okay, but most of you did not. I was looking for who do you consider to be a great leader. Okay, some of you lost marks for the way you dress, so it was very casual. Somebody was sitting, I believe it was on the floor, maybe with their bed behind them. Their screen was really wobbly. You lost marks for that. Somebody's cell phone went off, so you've lost marks for that because in fact then you were distracted by that phone going off. And I can tell all of that, everybody, by your nonverbal. Okay, so you need to practice talking about yourself, practice and elaborate on the questions that are asked for you, because you know when we schedule like a 30 to a 45-minute interview and you're done answering the questions in 10 minutes, I'm, as a potential employer, are not going to be looking at you as much as I would be somebody else who's got that ability to talk about themselves, their experiences, that sort of thing. So I will be putting my comments into Big Interview, everybody. So stay tuned for that. You will be able to see them. And again, if you have any questions on that one and you want to get together with me on Blackboard Collaborate, send me a message and we can set up some time next week to discuss that, everybody. So that was your case study and your big interview assignment. And like I said, I'm going to go to the copier right now and I'm going to scan all of your case studies in and I will email those to you within the next couple of days so you can take a look at the comments that I've made on that particular assignment. And then the big interview will have comments attached to it as well. Okay, so video number 3, everybody, coming up here shortly. I'm going to be talking about what next week is going to look like. So please make sure that you tune into that video as well. And I think that's it for video 2, everybody. So I'm going to end it here and I will be back shortly. Thank you.